Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra Tazria. Am I being punished by God, or is this illness just the way of the world? I can't even imagine how many times this question has been asked during human existence, and especially the last few years of COVID. The answer is, we'll never really know until God tells us or a prophet informs us. And neither of those have happened in the past thousands of years. In his comments on a mitzvah in this week's Torah portion, the Sefer Chinuch makes a comment that makes it seem like illness is a punishment from God, and his comment requires explanation. In this week's Torah portion, we read about tzara'at. Now, let's make one thing clear: tzara'at is not leprosy. It's a skin condition that doesn't exist today. Someone with tzara'at is tameh, which is a legal status, doesn't mean unclean, and must go through a process to become tahar, another legal status. The pasuk reads, when a person has on the skin of the body a swelling, a rash, or a discoloration, and it develops into a scaly affection on the skin of the body, it shall be reported to Aaron the Kohen or to one of his sons, the Kohanim. In his commentary to this pasuk, Rashi wrote, it is a Torah command that the designation of Tuma and Tahara Tzara'at are pronounced only by the Kohen. The Sefer Chinuch wrote, there is no doubt that all of the illness of the people come either because of an excess in the body or from a deficit that happens for whatever reason. As long as a person's constitution is in total equilibrium, he wrote, it does not have a deficit. The body will not become ill. The sin of people, he writes, brings them to have an excess or a deficit from what people need for their constitution, and that's when they become sick. It seems like the Sefer Chinuch said that illness is a punishment from God. The notion that illness is a punishment from God can also be read into the words of Rambam, who wrote the following: God gave us this Torah, which is a tree of life. Whoever fulfills what's written within it and comprehends it with complete and proper knowledge will merit the life of the world to come. A person merits a portion of the world to come according to the magnitude of his deeds and the extent of his knowledge. In addition, we are promised by the Torah that if we fulfill it with joy and with good spirit and meditate on its wisdom at all times, God will remove the obstacles which prevent us from fulfilling it. For example, sickness, war, famine, and the like. Similarly, the Rambam wrote, the Torah has informed us that if we consciously abandon the Torah and involve ourselves in the vanities of time, then the true judge, God, will remove from us all the benefits of this world, and the lack of benefits will reinforce the sinner's rebellion and abandonment of the Torah. While it's easy to read the notion that illness is a punishment from God in the words of the Rambam as well, one would be challenged to explain the Rambam's writing about health, where he clearly wrote that a person's health is in their control. Listen to what he wrote. Since maintaining a healthy and sound body is among the ways of God, for one cannot understand or have any knowledge of the Creator if he is ill. Therefore, he must avoid that which harms the body and accustom himself to that which is healthful and helps the body become stronger. Seems like a contradiction, but in reality, there is no contradiction within the words of the Rambam. Illness isn't necessarily a punishment from God, but it can be a punishment. God has many ways of rewarding and punishing a person. Illness can be one way, but that doesn't mean that every illness is a punishment. Since we can't know if illness is a punishment, it's best to be safe in all cases. Always try to be as healthy as possible, and when ill, repent. Those are the doctors and the rabbi's orders. Shalom.